All right, let's jump right into this explainer and completely demystify the 2026 Chinese manufacturing landscape. Look, if you're a procurement officer or a brand owner, you already know that finding a genuinely reliable partner is, well, way more complicated than just typing a keyword into a B2B marketplace. The real challenge, it's figuring out who's a high-volume plant, who's a specialized hardware factory, and who actually has a high-compliance laboratory, rather than just claiming they do. So today, we're breaking all of this down so you can confidently source cleaning supplies without getting trapped by risky middlemen. Here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll map out the 2026 sourcing landscape. Then, we'll look at the chemical giants and bulk suppliers, followed by the hardware and eco-innovators. After that, I'll show you how to vet factories like an absolute pro, and finally, we'll wrap up by finding your perfect match. All right, part 1, the 2026 sourcing landscape. Let's start by looking at exactly why China remains the absolute global hub for cleaning products and what this massive shift happening in 2026 really looks like for buyers across the globe. So the entire industry is currently going through this massive shift toward what's known as green chemistry. What does that actually mean for you? Well, it means factories are finally moving way past those days of basic, generic, white label goods. Today, the top-tier manufacturers are offering true ground-up R&D support. They're helping brands develop biodegradable formulas and incredibly ergonomic tools that strictly meet those tough European and North American regulatory standards, like REACH, EPA, and FDA. It's a whole new ballgame. And to actually navigate this shift, you absolutely have to understand China's regional split. The cleaning product ecosystem there is highly clustered. Essentially, a factory's location usually dictates what they're actually good at. For instance, Guangdong, that province handles the heavy chemical refineries, liquid formulas, and big commercial equipment. Meanwhile, over in Zhejiang, they are the absolute masters of household cleaning tools, hardware, and fast-moving e-commerce plastics. Knowing this little geographic shortcut immediately helps you filter out those trading companies that magically claim they make everything. Okay, moving on to part 2. Chemical giants and bulk suppliers. Let's dive into our first specific category of manufacturers and see how these guys build the massive supply chains that literally power the globe. Now, if you happen to be a high-volume buyer or, say, a regional supermarket, Libby Group and Nice Group offer just unparalleled capacity. Libby operates multiple green-certified factories, and they really excel at robust R&D for concentrated formulas. Nice Group, on the flip side, boasts this incredibly massive OEM division. We're talking vertical integration all the way from raw materials down to the final packaging. That makes them one of the most price-competitive options in all of Asia. But a quick reality check here. Because of their massive scale, they demand very high minimum order quantities. They are definitely not built for small, custom eco-packaging runs. What's really fascinating about this next one is that Blue Moon practically invented the liquid detergent market in China. If you're positioning your brand in that middle to high-end market and you desperately need high-quality chemical stability alongside skin-safe formulas, they are your ideal partner. I mean, their manufacturing standards are frequently compared straight up to industry giants like Procter & Gamble or Unilever. They are the real deal. For those of you with truly industrial scale needs, we have to talk about Transfer Group. These guys are a full-blown supply chain powerhouse. They actually produce the raw surfactants and active ingredients that a lot of those other consumer-facing factories end up using. So if your strategy is to bottle products locally in your own country and you just need the raw industrial chemical agents shipped over in massive bulk, Transfer is your logical go-to choice. Which brings us to part 3, hardware and eco-innovators. Let's pivot away from the liquid chemicals and bulk powders for a minute and zero in on the specialized factories focusing on hardware, commercial gear, and sustainable tech. Over here, we've got 2 distinct leaders in the hardware space. Clinic is all about high-end aesthetics and long life cycles for B2B hospitality. Think hospitals, hotels, or airports that need professional-grade durability, not just cheap, disposable plastics. Conversely, Joy Clean, which is based in the hardware hub of Yangkong, is the absolute go-to for Amazon and Shopify sellers. They are incredibly responsive to OEM requests for custom colors, modified handles, basically perfect for that highly clickable, as seen on TV functionality. Now, as environmental regulations keep tightening up globally, this next company really stands out. For brand owners targeting the sustainable niche, Guangdong Carefree is leading the charge to eliminate single-use plastics entirely. They have aggressively pivoted to water-soluble pods and concentrates using PVA film. This is an absolute must-have if your brand needs to boast phosphate-free or strictly biodegradable formulas on the label.
rounding out our innovators, we've got Zhejiang Yeju for high-performance textiles, specifically when you need strict obsessive control over GSM counts and edge stitching. Then there's Jackson Jackson, an absolute leader in the disposable trend, boasting ISO 2217 clean room production for medical-grade antimicrobial wet wipes. And finally, Ningbo Home Dollar. Honestly, they are an absolute lifeline for small to medium enterprises that need to consolidate a massive variety of goods, like brushes, sponges, and cloths, all while keeping those MOQs nice and low. So, if you take nothing else away, this is the crucial point right here. Matching your specific certification needs and your MOQ thresholds to the right category leader. That is the absolute secret to a successful 2026 procurement strategy. Take a moment and really think about where your own business fits into these tiers. It makes all the difference.
All right, part 4, vetting factories like a pro. Now that you know who the top players actually are, let's explore exactly how to vet these suppliers to ensure you aren't dealing with a sneaky middleman and that you're totally minimizing your risk. You see, when sourcing chemicals, the biggest risks involve instability, leakage, and regulatory noncompliance. So before you even think about requesting a sample from a factory, you must ask for their MSDS, that's the Material Safety Data Sheet, and a certificate of analysis. Honestly, if they hesitate for even a single second, they're highly likely a middleman who doesn't actually manufacture the product, or they completely lack a proper testing laboratory. Red flag right there. Let's look at how this builds into a foolproof vetting workflow. First up, demand those technical docs to prove they have actual lab capabilities. Second, if you're dealing with hardware like buckets or mops, explicitly ask if they own the injection molds. Why? Because trading companies use public molds, which means 5 of your competitors will be selling your exact same design. And third, since many cleaning agents are classified as chemicals requiring specialized shipping, you need to verify they hold the certificate for safe transport of chemical goods. Doing this prevents your cargo from being disastrously rejected at major ports like Ningbo or Shanghai. And finally, part 5, finding your perfect match. Okay, let's bring all of this together and look at some real-world buyer scenarios. It is time to apply all this data directly to your own operation. As we walk through these 3 distinct sourcing profiles, I really want you to think about your specific scale, your target market, and what your ultimate goals are. Which one sounds like you? Scenario A, the Amazon or Shopify brand. If you are an e-commerce seller just starting out, your main focus should be on low MOQ, high innovation factories. You need agility, right? Partners like JoyClean for hardware or Carefree for EcoPods allow you to quickly test private label designs with short runs, maybe just 500 to 1,000 units. That way, you're testing the market without tying up all your capital upfront. Now, scenario B, regional supermarket procurement. On the complete other end of the spectrum, if you're a procurement officer buying for large retail chains, well, scale is absolutely everything. This means the heavy chemical giants like Libby or Nice Group are your safest bet by far. Your primary metric here is optimizing that price per wash for the consumer, all while guaranteeing rock-solid supply chain stability year-round. And finally, scenario C, the specialized sourcing agent. If you are trying to fill a single 40-foot high-cube container with 30 entirely different SKUs, sponges, cloths, brushes, buckets, the whole shebang, utilizing a hybrid manufacturing and trading powerhouse like Ningbo Home Dollar is just vital. It completely maximizes your shipping efficiency and severely reduces the logistical headache of trying to herd 10 different tiny factories. So I want to leave you with this final, crucial thought. Because liquid detergents are heavy, bulky, and increasingly expensive to ship across the ocean, shifting to concentrates or dehydrated, water-soluble pods will significantly reduce both your carbon footprint and your unit costs. So considering the amazing factory capabilities we've uncovered today, how will your sourcing strategy evolve this year?